We have stellar representatives here from both industries, and we are proud to introduce you to them tonight. Jim Druckman from the New York Design Center, CEO and President. Dottie Herman, President and CEO of Prudential Douglas Elliman. And Alexa Hampton, President and CEO of Mark Hampton Interiors.
Good evening. Good evening. I guess you got that by that introduction that I'm Jim Druckman, President of the Design Center, and I'm pleased, proud, and really happy to moderate this discussion with Dottie Herman and Alexa Hampton. I think we want to try to make it as informal and interesting as possible. I'll ask a few questions, they'll talk, they've got some slides to show you, and then hopefully you'll have a lot of questions. At the New York Design Center, we continually try to explore the relationship between the interior designer and real estate brokers. And obviously, selfishly, to our building for our tenants, because there's a synergy that exists, and somehow we have to figure out how to make that synergy work for all of us. Real estate brokers, designers, landlords, and so that I have to give Leslie Young credit, and then we'll talk about what you really want to hear, because she consistently pushes the envelope. She consistently comes in with an idea and it pushes it until we all try to support it and do it. And I would tell you that at least 80% of the time she's right. For my first question, I'm going to each of you to answer the same question. What do you see as the importance of the interior design industry and the showroom to your business? Dottie, maybe you should go first.
Well, I just also want to say, Leslie, thank you, because it was your vision. And it's just the beginning of a start, because our relationship with Douglas Elliman and the Solar Design Center is just the start of a great relationship. Of course, our clients, your clients are high-end clients, and part of what we sell is a lifestyle, not just a space. And it comes alive with what's in it. And a lot of people obviously can't see what it could be, or the potential, or how it can become alive and become their home and fit their lifestyle without the help of you. And we feel that that relationship and that service that we would be able to offer our clients, especially in New York City. Well, we're not only in New York City, Miami, New York City, where it is such an important real estate, is what someone lives in, defines who they are. Is that important? And so at Douglas Elliman, this is just another service that we feel we'll provide to our clients, and that's what you do.
Yeah. I am a big talker, so I have lots to say, but I'm going to try and be strategic first. Thank you, bring it to the table. For bringing it to the table. I think for the designer right now, we have such an interesting place that we occupy in the world of design. It's kind of poo-pooed advertising. It's very hard for us you've got to keep your fingers crossed and hope people see your work, or they see a show house, or you have word of mouth. But a lot of the relationships that we either do have or could have within the real estate industry is a particular boom. So it's a very interesting relationship to pursue. We're sometimes stymied as designers about how do we reach out and connect with the clients with whom we want to work. And it's precisely this kind of dynamic and relationship that can help us.
Again, the question is, I suppose, the question is for both of you. What do either or both of you need from each other to help really create this synergy and make it work? Maybe we'll have Alexa answer that first.
I think we've got to figure out a way to open the doors of communication most. Like maybe we, in various companies, hook up with the brokers with whom we need to have the relationship and have send portfolio or meet with them or try and figure out how we could help them help us and vice versa. Because otherwise the city is filled with designers and brokers. You can't swim a cat without hitting one or the other or both of us. So there's got to be a way for us to have a kind of systematic relationship so that we can be available to each other. Like, if you're going to have a high-end experience, and this is true for that lifestyle, and you're talking to your designer, well, it's great if your designer can help introduce you to a great broker. And likewise, if you have a great broker, it's part of the seamless experience that they can introduce you to a designer. Not that it's incentivized or there's anything icky about the relationship, but that you're available to each other.
Absolutely, and one of the things that, as I said, it's about a relationship. One of the things that those of you who don't, I'm sure you're mostly familiar with Doug Selman, but we position the company as a real estate company with all the services that somebody might need when doing anything in real estate. So we have a financing, we are a bank, we lend money, we do our finance, we do the mortgaging, if we give money out, we do the mortgaging, we manage, by the way, we're probably the largest property owners, management company in New York City. We manage some of the largest buildings, like the Dakota and some of the most famous buildings in New York City. We do tremendous amount of rentals, we do title. We also have a very big development company that does development across the country. We do international. So what I do what our whole position is, we are the center of anything that you might need. Design, okay, and that type of service, which today, is more important than it ever was. People don't want to walk into something that doesn't feel that's right to them. And with the internet, it's changed what's happened and how it happens. And I tell people today that the way your home looks is going to affect how it sells. And when people see something, sometimes they can't envision what it could be and how they can make it look and become what they need for them to feel comfortable. You just did an article, featured you. For those of you who don't know, we have copies here. Douglas Sullivan does our magazine. That's Real Estate and Lifestyle. And Alexa did an article for us on design. And so one of the things that she had, this is what she would do with this basically half the property, correct?
Just, a little 35 million job. Just, a little something.
And it was a wonderful article, and it was well received. And it could be something, and again, we're exploring, and again, it's just the beginning, and hopefully part of what tonight we would like to do is just to start getting to know each other better and getting some of your ideas. But we could feature in our magazines and on our, a constant article about design, where we could feature one of your decorators or something from you or something like a showroom. Or we have a whole Ask Element campaign, which our marketing department, where anybody across the country, and if I not kid you, I get things from all over the world. And I personally answer them with a team, and it's askelement.com, and they can ask us anything about anything. There is no company that I know, because I don't want the public to feel like it's a big company, but it's impersonal. And so we can add to our website something with Leslie and you guys with design, and something where they can actually interact, because today, as you said, there's 1 million people, and we just want our clients to have available the best of the best and whatever they need. So we're exploring that, and that's really what part of this is about tonight, because it's really about a relationship. It's not that you just give a client to someone you don't even know who they are, or you say, well, he's a decorator, or he's a broker. So I only have my top people here, and you guys have your top people here, and hopefully all of you will continue with us as we go down the road of exploring different possibilities and just taking this to a continued level. I don't think that anyone's really done this. Yeah, you know, they might have talked about it, they haven't done it, I mean, so I'm sure you have some ideas too. But that's well, we started today, and I thank you actually had that vision, and we said it's just going to be a start today, and we're going to talk to the audience. Hopefully, you know, we have slides. We chose not to. We have them. We prepared. We worked all day on them, but frankly, we don't want to. It's really not about our comp. I mean, look,
It's a
everyone.
total tease. We have them, but we're not going to show them. They're amazing.
Unless you pay.
I don't really think that's what it's about. I think really it's about us all getting to know each other better and us sharing some of ideas of how, as two industries that really have the same clients, how we can all explore different possibilities of working together better. I think that's what it's about.
I think that's a good answer. No, it is. And my next question to you relates to that. How do you think that a building like ours, a showroom like Cliff Young, how we can better serve you and your industry? What is it that you need from us? I understand, and we'll go into what you need from the designers on a more detailed basis. But what do you need from us? We're a 500,000 square foot building with 100 showrooms and 54 antique showrooms, small showrooms. And what can we do for you as a building to help your clients and help you make the sale? Because all of us sitting here have to understand the bottom line for everyone, whether it's Leslie Young selling furniture, whether it's Dottie selling apartments, or Alexa selling her services. This is a business. So with that in mind, Dottie, what can we do to help you?
Well, you know what? I think that, like, I just saw something here that Leslie showed me that was maybe I'll show it later. I mean, I just think people, first of all, have to see things. I think that people, I'm sure you guys as decorators realize that you deal with it every day where people just don't have any vision, and so they just can't see the possibilities. And then you come along and like all of a sudden, so I think we should probably start with doing something on our website with the showrooms, or we should come up with, I mean, I don't have all the answers, that's where we start today. But I think that we have, we have a huge national presence. We have so many hits on our website, and so many people come to it, and now it's very interactive. People call, you know, as you'll go on our website, you'll see people come there. We do, you know, we give tons of information out, tons of market stats. We have a relationship with Knight Frank, which is an international real estate company, which is in, I don't know, 200 different countries. It's all over the world, only high end. So I think we have to come up with something to, first of all, acknowledge this relationship on our website so that people know it exists. I think that we also have to brainstorm. I mean, I think all of our businesses have changed very different with the internet and and how people go online a lot differently. That maybe they don't walk in as much as they might have. But I still say a picture sells 1,000 words. Like, I'm looking for a new apartment. I walked into your showroom today and I said, oh my God, I've got to come back. So we want to do something on our internet. We'd like to do something featuring in our magazine. We obviously want you as people to know each other. I would never refer somebody I didn't know. Like, I wouldn't just refer somebody just to refer them. I would want to know who I was referring. I would want to know that person. I would also want to know that personality. Sometimes somebody can be great, it's just not the right personality for your client. So you want to know the broker also. So it's also getting to know each other and trust. And as you said, so we don't want money. Nobody wants money. We just want to do the right thing for our clients, and we all basically are dealing with a lot of the same clients. We might even be able to do something here. Some of our clients, we might be able to host a cocktail party here and invite some of our great clients and have some people speak. I mean, I think the internet, I think the relationship, this is all about relationships. Your clients are relationships. This is today for all of us to meet and get to know each other. We didn't want it to be so formal. We have a development department, which obviously, new development lives on the fact that these are just bare spaces, and if they are not furnished properly, they would never get half the money that they
Well,
get.
and that's where 200 Lex also really comes into it for me.
Could you tell that story?
Because, you know, when you look at some of the major apartment buildings that are selling apartments right now, they're not selling anything but potential. Because you go into those apartments and the outlets are floating 4 feet above the baseboards. I own it, in fact.
Yes, I'll put my loan.
So,
Okay.
you know, like the outlets are up here and they're crooked and, you know, there are no keys to openings. And I think the message that sends me is, you know, they're not meant to be complete iterations of a look because they don't, the people building those spaces don't want to get too invested in a particular style and then turn off their potential buyer. So they're just giving you like literally an envelope and they entirely embrace the fact that it's going to be torn up and redone. So I think the most important thing to my mind, to my little decorative brain, is that if I were buying a place and I didn't know how I wanted to look, the broker and the designer get together to either sketch out potential options, whether it's doing drawings or finding the right software to do it, or to come to a place like 200 Lex, get the tear sheets of actual real things in order to forward a proposal. Because there's nothing like seeing the real deal.
Nothing like it.
No, if you could come here and get the tear sheets and figure out a way to input it to show clients, both prospective design clients and real estate purchasers, that would be a major tool.
You know, I was watching a reality show, one in California. We had, you know, a lot of two of our agents on
Which one?
it.
I watch all of them.
Okay, so it was $1 billion listing, and they had this paper-net client, and he wouldn't buy, and it was a husband and wife, and they wouldn't buy anything, and the guy was like, I'm gonna lose them, this is the last day they're here, and they're not gonna come back. So he brought a designer. I mean, they had seen everything, they criticized everything, plus they didn't agree on anything. What he liked, she hated, what she liked, he hated. They brought a designer at the last show, and the designer came in with that, and he basically showed them what everything could be, and basically they bought the property.
And sometimes it's it, and sometimes it's a mix. But maybe if the designers, if we all could have a stable of brokers that we know are the right fit, and they in turn could have a stable of designers. So say they need a traditional, they call on this one. They need a modern, they call on this one. To have those options.
That's a great idea, Alexa, because you know what, not everyone likes modern, not everyone likes traditional, you know, everyone has different tastes. And so based on what your client likes, you know, we could, obviously they would have, you guys would do that for us.
You gotta come back up.
Oh, I like being little now, okay? No, but in any event, that was one of the thoughts that we would really put together, the designers would put together a list so that the brokers, you guys, that our brokers would know, my top brokers would know, these are the designers and these are what their specialties are.
And that they have portfolios available to them. That perhaps there could be a library in the firm of the designers you guys had relationships with, so that brokers could say, you know, these are the people that are known entities. We know them, we know their track record, here are some of their work. And on the one hand, you don't want to think as a designer like, oh, well, I'm just going to be one of a chorus of 1,000. But on the other, like, if they're not looking at your stuff, they're not looking at your stuff. You're not even, you got to be in it to be in it. Yeah.
One of the problems that we find as a building, or I'm sure Leslie finds as a showroom, is that there are a lot of people who are buying homes, apartments, who absolutely have no conception of how or why to use a designer.
And I'd like to keep it that way. Shrouded in mystery.
And I think one of the synergies would be if, and on the other hand, a lot of brokers, and I'm not saying yours or anyone's, don't want to be bothered with anything extraneous. They want to go in, they want to make a sale, and they also may not understand the great value of an interior designer, and having one at their beck and call. So what Alexa's saying is, I think so important. We have a system here called Access to Design, where if consumers come in, or whoever, we can teach them about design. We can tell them what good design can do for them. Now, if you're selling $35 million apartments, chances are that people who are buying them already know what a designer can do. But you don't know all the time. So
They don't know all the cast of characters.
exactly. And so one of the things I would suggest, Dottie, and I'd like your reaction is, does it help or hinder the sale to be able to say, hey, this is what a designer can do for you?
I think that we should entertain the fact that we should be able to put together something on our internet, and something that our agents can use and say this is one of the services that is offered from Douglas Elliman if you choose to use it. And here's what could be done. And again, I just want to emphasize, because when I talked to Leslie about this, and I said, oh, by the way, listen, we're just not in New York City, and I see a lot of people from Long Island compete. Well, obviously, they want to do houses also, well, because houses have usually a lot more rooms. So it's not about, and Miami. I mean, so I think that first of all, yeah, we should put a service together. And I think when people see things, yes, I think that we have to put together. I think we should put together a video or something and I think that we should make the showroom available, however we do that.
By the way, on a side note of what you guys could do, the one thing I hear from my clients all the time, whether they're a client who's like me or the client who's getting the $35 million apartment, is they're like, do you know anyone who wants to buy X, Y, and Z? If you had a showroom space that, like, you could call it the estate sale or something, where the furniture coming out was available. Like sometimes it's D'Angelo's upholstery and it's a great piece of furniture and it just needs recovering. If there was a way to figure out how to do that without it looking junky.
I could rent you a showroom. And you can do that.
There's something for sale.
We could host a few, we are at Douglas Elliman, we do a lot for the public, a lot of information. I do a radio show, by the way, also, that all over the country, they were coming from London saying, no one does this, why do you do it? It's every Saturday, it's a lot of my time, I don't get paid to do it. Just giving people information. To have a service like that, I think you'd get a lot more business, because a lot of people don't know it's available. A lot of people don't think about it. As you said, there's not a lot of cheap properties anymore in the tri-state area. So everything is expensive, and I think a lot of people would use it if they knew it. We could also host some, we would sponsor them, invite our clients, and I have my brokers invite them, and we could do some educational things together, inviting our clients who would discuss how to use this session, how to use the decorators, and have them come. And they would come to that by invitation only. I think that, it's like, I use the decorator, and I think I have pretty good taste. I just don't have the time to run around, and it was a year and a half, 2 years later, I was still doing my little apartment with this decorator. I will personally rent, it's like anything else. If you don't know someone personally, you're not recommending. If I know a doctor personally, and I know somebody says, I have this thing, and I'm going to great doctor. So it's just knowing each other, or I have a great broker, or I have a great designer. But I think that we've got to spend time. I think we can have a whole, everything on our, I think we should also have something on our website that's kind of interactive. And now when you say high-end, I'm just curious, because everything, that word means something different to everyone. What kind of numbers do most people think when you think high-end? Yeah, like, clients, like the
$30 to $40 million apartment?
Yeah.
That's pretty
And
high.
everyone wants it, and I tell people, so yeah, we all want it for you. We had, you read the papers, and we sold, a number of that 60 million, and that's, at the end of the day, even in Manhattan, you'll starve if that's the only thing you're selling. Okay, so yes, you all want those clients, and they are moving into New York City. There's more and more international buyers. The high-end is really the strongest market in New York City, in Long Island, and in Westchester at the moment. But at the same token, the high-end is different everywhere, and just for those of you who are designers, we classify it as the top 10% of every market, so it's different depending on the market. But I think that you're talking about $1 million, $2 million, $3 million people. They still spend a lot of money, and the younger the buyer, usually the more money they'll spend. I mean, and the baby boomers who now on their third or fourth wife, and they have kids that are, they have, I assess with someone, they have, they can be 60 and have a 4-year-old. They don't want to, they want to keep young, and they're not retiring so soon, so so you've got a great audience, and people want, in real estate in our area, it's like what people identify as who you are. Okay, when you walk into your home, whether you live in an apartment in the city or you're in the suburbs, that's who you are. And so it's important to people. So I think we should, does anyone here have any ideas? I'm just curious. I mean,
my name's Bonnie Steves. I'm an interior designer, and actually I use 200 Lex a lot, and actually I've been getting a lot of requests for staging. I think one of the biggest challenges with staging is that there's limited resources for staging. And so you can go to Prosper Today, and they have or Court or places like that. And so therefore you're really not getting that high-end look. So you can go to antique stores and what have you. I think a great opportunity would be for 200 Lex to have a staging program where you could actually work with the various showrooms.
You tie in people who are trying to sell their stuff and let it be rented out for staging.
So it's like, I just think there could be a really interesting program. You could do a rental program where you can take items off of the showroom or from the factories and what have you, and it could be rented for 3-4 months, depending on how long it takes.
where people could pick up certain articles, like certain paintings. I had President Clinton at my house when Hillary was running for president, and we made a decision to do it 2 weeks before he came. So this was out in the Hamptons, and I can tell you, and I was in California for one of those weeks speaking. So in 1 week's time, we had everyone. I had everyone in the Hamptons come. We put pictures up, we put more shrubs up, we had paintings, and my house was, it didn't look bad before, but I mean, by the time they got through within 1 week, I had the finest art from all over the place, and I had everything. So I think that's a thought, but I also think with staging for my brokers, you should be able to do most of the basic staging. I wouldn't pay anyone to do the basic. I think that level should be that we as brokers are capable of doing. I think that when people want to go to the next level, okay, I also think we should come up with some kind of and I'm talking out loud because I just got back from Italy. I haven't time to really think so much. But I think that we should also not forget that person we just sold the property to. Everybody thinks about the seller because we tell them, listen, if you want to get the top dollar, you've got to present this property, which is correct. The person you sold the property to now has to make what they had work with what they have now. And I frankly, now, when do you want to invest the most money in a property? When you're selling it or when you're first moving into it? I think we should come up with some kind of a certificate that we are at the closing that we present from Douglas Elder that we coordinate you. That we can use, that they can use to redeem some of it that we'll come up with. Because don't you think when you first move into a place, it's the time you really want to go for it? I mean, and nobody.
Harness their interest.
Yeah, and look, pictures of what there is. I think that might be something.
I'm Lana Lawrence. What I would think might be helpful would be for the person actually buys the property, that you would hook up with like the website, walking times to maybe five buildings or apartments that day, and then the designer also can help about saying, what can be taken out, how to expand it, what to make it more desirable. A lot of people don't have vision, so when they go in there, they're very narrow-minded and limited.
That's correct. I mean, and that's really where the relationship comes in, that you as brokers will be able to just call, you'll be able to have a list of people to call that you would know and work with.
So yeah, so if you had the library of designers' rooms,
That
and the client expressed an interest in one of them, perhaps that one could accompany the prospective buyer and the broker for a day.
But the one thing you want to be careful of, we take out millions of buyers and we don't get paid for that. You don't want to also run a wild goose chase either. So we have to figure out a selective way to do that.
I asked a sort of question before, and I don't know how it was answered, but if there are brokers in the audience, I'd love to hear. Do you think, any of you please answer, do you think that it serves you to bring along Alexa, or to have an Alexa somewhere in the process? No, because I know from watching people who sell well, that sometimes they're afraid of anything extraneous. They want to make their sale, close their sale, and then after that, meet Alexa. I'm not sure, or the best salespeople I know, after they close the sale, disappear fast. So anyway, that's just another industry.
I think it very much depends on the client
And their intentions.
and where you are in the sale process. Certainly, when you're selling a property, it's important if it needs some kind of staging, or if it's a vacant house, you definitely need somebody brought in if it doesn't have a typical floor plan, so that people can understand how it would be laid out and lived in. But when you're selling a property, when you have a buyer with you, you need to get them through all the stuff. You're taking them out to see 20, 30 houses. You're not going to drag along a designer's and take a look at everyone. When they get more selective, then you can start bringing them.
And I once was working for a client in Greece and was their proxy. So they bought an apartment at the plaza, and they weren't able to see the apartment until they bought it. They could see the model, but not the apartment they bought. So I went through after to sign on the dotted line for them, and was able to say like, okay, that floor needs fixing, buckling a little here, this needs to be addressed, and help give them a financial forecast of what some of the decorating things that were going to come down the pipe were going to.
And one of the other things is, and I see Susan, I know, I'm not asking you to speak, as you see I didn't bring slides, we got rid of them after I fought with everyone back. Just come up for 1 second. I just also think that that's something that you don't take advantage of, but if you have a special client, then we have a relationship, that's something that you would use with a special client that you need to do that with.
This is not a
Susan
recommendation.
runs development, and she knows a lot. Okay, and obviously, when you look at development, which is new construction, that's all about how it's done.
So to that point, I
have
have
any
a great
ideas?
experience working with Alexa. Alexa was part of the Architectural Digest Rooms with a View exhibit at Time Warner Center back in October of 2003. And speaking very much to the topic at hand tonight is when you are selling to a customer something that is really a dream and an inspiration, and you're selling from floor plans or from a sales office environment, that we know for the past couple of years really hasn't been the case, but we see things are revving up again. It's always been our point of view from a new development standpoint to engage interior designers to come up with schematics to show people how they can live in spaces, particularly if they're glass curtain wall and someone may be a bit more traditional in their taste or transitional. Having a rendering or a designer's perspective really allows that individual to envision themselves living in this space. So it's nice to see you, Alexa. And I think I'm not telling any of you anything that you don't know. It's always helpful to have an additional marketing tool when selling to a buyer, because as sophisticated as our clientele may be, a lot of people have a difficult time envisioning themselves in this space, particularly in spaces that are not as conventional, such as a Time Warner Center, or different architecture that might be designing the building from the outside in. presents a challenge to a lot of our buyers sometimes, so.
And I brought a bunch of slides of before and after just to flash on the wall, not to bore everyone in tears,
But I just wanted
just to see how different they are from.
Susan runs our development department, and Susan ran all related around the United States, and we are very lucky to have her with us. And that's really all about staging. And for those of us who do our resale, in many cases, that's almost harder because, you know, you're stuck with what somebody has. And you've got to figure out how to make that look good. But I also think that, and Susan will be part of it, we are in the process now of planning how do we make this relationship work so that it works for all of us. With the first person that we care about is our client, which will be the same person, so that they get the maximum benefit. And so I think it's a combination of what we're talking about. And I know you're going to be involved in helping figure out some other ways. But I think for our clients, as a broker for Douglas Elliman, it's going to be a wonderful thing for our clients.
If working together makes for a more educated client, does it help both on the buyer side as well as the potential design client? Does that make sense?
I think there are pros and cons to everything, but I don't think hobbling the client is ever a good idea, right? If you educate them and they don't want you, so be it. You know, like you don't want to keep them completely in the dark, as much as I like to joke that that's precisely what I'd like to do. You know, you want them to have the conviction to hire you and be happy with that choice. So I don't think it's a bad idea to educate them. And the world is educating them now anyway. They do have the internet. They can come here on their own. They can go to First Kids. They are shopping wherever. There's so much information out there. Hopefully, if nothing else, there's still a place for my industry just because there's too much to choose from there. So you need a divining principal, a curator. You need someone to help lead you through the morass of information.
And maybe that's where us all connected together, that comes in, the ability to
distill.
kind of help curate, pointing this client that we're all serving in the right direction.
That would be.
I'm really against taking money for anything or having any of the agent brokers take money
Because it could potentially money.
I just don't think it's about that. And I have to tell you, as I said, we've been doing a campaign called Ask Elman. You know, the internet has a lot of information, and you don't need a broker to buy a property. You don't need a broker to buy a home or buy an apartment. You can get anything, anywhere. And I can tell you how many people have built a relationship with me through the radio, over the phone with my brokers, and actually now go online and say, can you make an appointment with me? Can you get me an apartment here? I'm coming into town. Can you set this up? Can you give me a good broker?
Trust.
Because they trust me. And that trust, okay, is most important in that relationship. And the fact that I would never give them to somebody I didn't trust. Okay, because they're going to use me and they're going to recommend me and they're going to recommend my company. So I don't think that I want to do money. I would not. I said absolutely no. That was the first thing I said. We don't want any money for this. Obviously, what we at Douglas Elliman want to do is be able to deliver the services to our clients that make that experience for them the best possible experience. And we really, at the moment, have put together homeowner services that I think are unparalleled to anybody else in the country.
I think, if I may say, that Dottie's hit the nail on the head. You are bombarded by websites and blogs and all the information you could ever want, and then some, and then a lot on the internet. The one thing I think, what I liked about what you said and what Leslie wanted to do here, is that if we create a synergy where people have a personal relationship, we will get more done in a better fashion than if it's has to do with cost. Yes. The other point, just to say again, Alan, again to your point, Karen Fisher had a wonderful service and was a wonderful lady, and those of us who knew her miss her. That being said, there is a very large proportion of purchasers of apartments or purchasers of homes who have no clue that they should be finding a designer for whatever reason. They don't have a background for it, their friend had a bad experience with one, they had a bad experience. And it's one of the things that we find important here, and we try to focus on, is it's those clients who don't have the clue that really need the education.
Right, and all we have to be able to do is say, we have a service, we have a strategic alliance, and here's what we have, the service, and we offer it to them. If they want it, they want it. If they don't, they don't. Okay, and you know, as we develop relationships, let me tell you, more people are going to want it than don't. I just don't think people think about it because they just don't. They get busy, and as I said, you know, every client's different, but I really think, you know, I walked in today and I swear to you, you know, and I'm pretty good, I think I have pretty good taste. I saw two pieces here and I said, oh, that's it. Okay. And I actually think that doing something on the internet and having a little gift or something that we give our sellers, I mean our buyers, where they can redeem that.
I think that's a great idea.
I think right now, this is just going to be the first of a series.
My name is Pat Pellegrini. I have an interior design. Can you stand up, please? We can't hear you. Pat Pellegrini. I have an interior design business in New Jersey, Mountainside, New Jersey. And I lived in Seattle for 3 years. And I worked in the design center for people who came in, stragglers who came in and didn't have a designer, and we took them around. So I'm wondering if, with regard to what you're saying about giving a gift, if people were allowed to come in, browse the building with a designer that would show them around, that would be helpful. And that would mean that you as the design manager would have to.
We do that now. We do that now.
So you see, if I were able to, and again, I'm going to talk to our brokers, but if we had a service that said, like, you know, at Douglas Elman, we have an additional service that's offered to you that when you purchase a property through us, you know, obviously they could do it if they walk the streets, they could come in here, but the fact nobody really knows that. Okay, so if we say that, and by the way, we offer an additional service, we have a relationship, and so therefore, if it's available to you, if you want, as your broker, once you're in contact and your mortgage commitment is in, I will make the arrangements with the design center for you to be able to go there and meet with the designer, where then the broker, you're in control, you're like a big shot, you have an additional service, it's a benefit to us, okay, and it's a benefit to you. All right,
Dottie, can I say something? I'm the publisher of the magazine, Lux,
yes, I know you are.
and I'd like to welcome
And well, why don't you
everybody
introduce so those of you who don't know you,
here. Janice Brown, publisher of Lux magazine, and part of what's on everybody's lap, and we're going to introduce Mike Ruskin after this esteemed panel, Alexa and Jim are speaking, is kind of what you're talking about, is the Lux Box, is this gift that we're partnering with Element exclusively in New York, Westchester, and the Hamptons to forge this relationship. Adam Sandow, the owner of the magazine, has created the ultimate gift and the ultimate forging of who the real estate agent is and the interior designer in a presentation at the time of closing when all of this is going on. And we're providing for the buildings and our customers the ultimate timing to offer a great incentive to the manufacturer, to Leslie, to the furniture manufacturer. And I feel like this is a first step in creating this relationship and being able to present it in such a high level way at the right time, at the closing time. And thank you for supporting this whole program and taking us to the first step in forging this whole relationship.
I want to thank the panelists. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm sure everybody's going to be around for something.
I want to thank everybody for coming. We had this event together with Cliff Young, who's been so supportive of BiTTT. I can't tell you, I love working with her, and Ileana. But BiTTT is an organization that I started 2 years ago. And
I'm very proud to say that this year, I'm raising a scholarship, not alone, but together, in November. We're having a gala, November 15th, and the scholarship is going to go to a young female designer who cannot afford to attain her goals, and we selected New York School of Interior Design. Alexa Hampton has honored me in selecting the female student who will move forward for her 4 years. We're going to do a documentary on her, and we have wonderful designers, Vincent Wolf, Alexa Hampton, and some others that said they would help mentor her and sit with her for a while and show her classes. So I really want BiTTT to grow, not just for me, for everyone. It's created jobs, and if you mingle amongst each other, you'll hear nothing but wonderful things that the organization has been doing. If you look at the cards that you've gotten, in October, on the 30th, we're calling it Demons by Design. How appropriate, the night before Halloween. And we're gonna have it at the Holiday House. And we have tables with wonderful palm readers, astrologists, but these women have been on CNN and Today Show. We don't know them because we're in design, but anyone out there in the field that they're in know. So it's gonna be a great night. Proceeds go to breast cancer, so I hope you'll all make it. November 15th, we have dancing. Chef Brian was here tonight. You're gonna pick on his food tonight, get a little taste. So we have a DJ, dancing, bars, fast food, really wonderful holiday night, November 15th at ALB Design Center, and that's at 53 West 23rd. That night, we're opening it up to men too, so woohoo, you're all invited. And I expect everyone to come to help us raise the money that we need for the scholarship program this year. And I just want to thank everyone for coming, and really thank you for all your support.